I can hear in the way that you are talking about yourself and your wife and your deep, deep commitment to the relationship and the marriage. I can hear how much love and commitment you feel towards yourself and her. And I'm hearing how hard you've worked to not act out or be violent, to be of service, to get in alignment with some very deep values that you have about love and contribution to one another and loyalty and sticking with it and doing your own work. Like that is so clear to me in how you're telling me this story. And I just want to really acknowledge that. My very brief from the outside, after getting just a few minutes
Yeah.
of the information, roadmap for you would be this. I think that there are some ways in which you've been taught about love and about relationship that are inherently limiting and are going to need to be questioned and examined and unpacked a little bit as the two of you move forward in creating. I'm going to assume both of you want to create a loving relationship. And I'm going to assume that both of you are really committed to one another in that. And what I would be telling you is both of you have probably inherited some belief systems that are about judgment and control and self sacrifice. To the degree that you are trying to be loving from the frame of judgment and control and self sacrifice, it will be self sabotaging. You are going to be in a straitjacket. It is going to get tighter and tighter. And love is not going to grow there. And it's going to be confusing because you've been taught certain things that you're supposed to do, supposed to believe, how it's supposed to look. And you're going to try and fit the relationship into those beliefs. And the relationship itself is going to teach you that it doesn't work. You're either going to continue seeing one another as the problem, and therapy is going to be about, let me tell you what's wrong with you and you fix you, and the other one's going to tell the other one what's wrong with them and they go fix them, and we're going to be in this frame for a while, how we judge one another, diagnose one another, control one another, analyze what's wrong with one another, and we can stay there for a very long time. People do. If we want to bypass that and move through that more quickly, I would map out for you a different way of being with yourself and one another that is not based on control or self-sacrifice, but on vulnerability and being with the pain in a new way. Those would be the skills that I would encourage some playing with, exploring of. You brought up feelings, for example. It's really, really common in the cultures that we've grown up in for people to have a very distorted relationship with their own feelings and other people's feelings. The only thing we really need to do with a feeling is feel it, get present to it, name it, because when we name the feeling, it helps our nervous system re-regulate. And then get our attention on what need that feeling is telling us about. And then once we know what the need is, the only thing we have to do is meet the need if we can. And if we can't meet the need, we simply express care for the need and we help that person find another way to meet the need. That piece alone will unstick and transform the vast majority of the places where you're feeling like you're in a double bind and you're stuck. Being able to say back to the other person, okay, so you're really angry because I got all of these pink dishes and you hate the color pink and it feels to you like I don't get you at all. And you want me to admit that I did this awful wrong thing and then you would feel better. Is that right? Beginning with joining the other person in their world and being able to say their experience and their perception back to them so that they feel like I am holding your perspective with you. That's not the same as agreeing, but I can be in it with you. I can see the world through your eyes. Am I getting it? It sounds like you're saying it's like this. Is that right? And then you can always end with, when I sit with myself right now, I can't quite get to the place where I feel like I've done anything wrong here or that I don't want the pink plates. I love the pink plates. I want them in the house. I know this is a dilemma that we have, but I'm really caring about how it's impacting you. And I'm here with you. And I think if we can sit in this tension together for longer, can you tell me a little bit more about what you're hearing from me? The skill we're often developing in these situations is the ability to stay in the discomfort, the tension, and the difference without losing care or needing to merge into sameness or split into differentiation that has no connection. It's hard work. I want to acknowledge that it's hard work and it's messy work. And it's the kind of work, if you're working with a couple, a third party can be very helpful. Your question was, how do I consistently give to someone? You might not be able to consistently give. And if they are not able to meet certain needs, that's a dilemma that you have. And I would never recommend putting your desires to death. But one practice that I think can be very helpful is don't give up on the things you're needing. Like, get very clear on the universal human needs that you have and hold them really tightly. Like, don't ever give up your need for freedom or autonomy or meaning or purpose or affection or empathy or presence or play or discovery or whatever those are, the universal needs piece, those desires, you want to honor them as sacred, sacred wisdom that moves through you. The strategies you might prefer to have those needs met, those are not the same as your desires. Those are very often conditioned responses that lead to control games and power struggles around, but it has to be delivered in this package, in this way. It's like what you're describing when she wants her feelings validated. There's a very particular way she's attached to getting it. You're going to want some help with some of those dynamics.